So we spoke about, I guess, the never normal anymore, which is taking place at the moment, and quite aptly. So we were going to have Rich Clayton, a vice president of business analytics, but unfortunately, last night his laptop got stolen. So what I've done is I've asked Duncan Fitter, who's director of product strategy for data analytics in Oracle, to join us. So Duncan's kind of woken up this morning and wasn't really expecting to do a presentation. So welcome, Duncan.
Thank you.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to chat about how the next generation of growth industries are taking over right now. They're led by companies that are ready to tap into the shift to the virtual world, digital commerce, how consumer behavior has changed. Duncan's going to help us understand how you can better manage your finance, HR, and operations, and better understand those drivers that are presented to us within Fusion Analytics Warehouse. So, Duncan, thank you for joining us. I do appreciate you stepping in.
Adapting to change.
Exactly. So, Duncan, let's start with the first question. Let me ask you about your thoughts on how data and analytics drive innovation within companies.
Innovation takes a culture mostly curious, especially now with volatility that we are seeing. You know, finance and HR teams need to be asking more challenging questions. But I think the problem is too often people stop asking those questions because, you know, they know how hard it is to answer them. You know, they don't have access to the data, they don't have access to the tools, they just kind of give up. But with a data-driven culture, a well-informed data strategy, and an agile analytic platform, you know, I've seen some remarkable outcomes. You know, one company I was speaking to was able to identify millions of dollars worth of savings through identifying duplicate invoices. Another, TrueBlue, identified 4 million in working capital improvements in just 30 days. Cinelate, who are based in New Zealand, created a more diverse and performant workforce by analysing both recruitment and performance data. So, you know, if you take this approach and you put data at the centre of your organisation, then that really can help drive your strategy forward. And innovation isn't just about product innovation. You know, it's also about process and operational innovation. And with, you know, connected data, marketing can innovate the customer experience, finance can innovate the business strategy and how they guide the business, HR leaders can shorten recruiting cycles to accelerate innovation. You know, so having connected data improves productivity across the organization, allowing them to design better products, modernize customer experience, and ultimately also reduce costs.
Excellent. Thanks, Duncan. So another question, I guess, getting and using the right data can be a challenge, especially for large organizations. Why is that?
Well, sadly, little data is in action today. Too much data is really at rest, you know, laying around in old systems, not being put to use. People can't get hold of it, you know, in data silos, or it's locked tight and protected by some of the best security in the world, so people can't get their hands on it. It's also too complex, this data, and too many business leaders have kind of lost faith in their ability to get their arms around this data in order for them to make not just daily but quarterly and annual decisions. And also in terms of, you know, trying to predict and trying to look into the future. You know, looking at that survey the poll survey that you just did, and, you know, looking at some research that HBR did, you know, too many people rely on intuition and gut instinct. The HBR research showed that only 20% of executives say that they really have a mature strategy in this space today. So whether you call it monetization, industrialization, or data-driven, in terms of being a data-driven organization, the point we need to do is to create value from that data. You know, we have to automate every piece of the puzzle so that we can acquire, combine, and repeat that cycle with new data. And we looked at this problem, and that's what TK was talking about. We designed this solution, the Fusion Analytics, to really try and address some of these issues. So he talked about 1,500 metrics ready to go, and most deployments we've seen, and I've been working with some customers, are live within about 6 weeks. And he talked about it supporting dozens of use cases, improving working capital, monitoring inventory positions, managing spend, and analyzing profitability. But what he was talking about was really just the tip of the iceberg, because those dashboards, those metrics, that story that he was painting is just the start of the opportunity, because it's extendable. It ships with a factory certified data model, KPIs and metrics, but can be extended beyond the Oracle data with non-Oracle data. So if you bring this all together, if you make it connected, you make it available to your business people, you can very much provide them with an agile analytics solution.
So I guess it's starting with the basics and then extending. So very good. Thanks, Duncan. So I guess the next question is, that's great, but how can analytics help businesses navigate disruption?
Well, when people, when managers, when business users, when we all, even in our personal lives, have data in uncertain or unfamiliar situations, the more data we have, the more insight we have, the more confidence we have in the decisions that we make. If you think about it, the pandemic has created an enormous data deficit. How do we predict the demand for pasta in Germany or in the UK, or toilet paper across the globe? And AI, when embedded in analytics processes and platforms, can power better decision making by scanning more data, finding more outliers, and detecting patterns faster than even our best analysts in our companies. And we call this augmented analytics. It's really putting AI at the center of your decision making. And it offers the potential to substantially reduce the time to insight and thus to action. And I've very much seen this in action in the customers that I've been speaking to.
Fantastic. So I guess, I kind of thought about it, the way you answered that was almost, not the digital translation as Peter mentioned earlier on in his presentation, but a digital transformation. So truly embrace the power of AI within your analytics to drive those insights. Great, Duncan. Another question for you. How can companies better manage finance and operations to better understand the drivers of their business using Oracle Analytics?
Well, most financial plans are built using the same old drivers year after year. Very few finance teams are truly embracing an augmented planning process, where they are using AI as their co-pilot for creating predictive models and for planning for the future. So rather than the accounting forward approach to plans, an augmented analytics solution can provide the necessary insights on the correlations hiding in the data. And the finance team can in turn draw their own conclusion on cause and effect. Of course, they must not confuse causation with correlation. It's very much using AI as a co-pilot. It's very much man and machine, as Peter was talking. It's not about one or the other. It's about this idea of augmented analytics.
Excellent. So one more question. Leaders are expected to make more and more complex decisions now that there are high expectations to explain and justify those decisions. Can you share some practical advice on how analytics can help with this dilemma?
Yeah, decisions will continue to come under scrutiny, especially as companies plan for the recovery. and working with just part of the picture won't work going forward. You know, real-time analytics is here and now. Using and consuming all that data is here and now. And, you know, we did 20 years of e-commerce in 3 months in the pandemic. So waiting a month, a quarter is a lifetime. So my number one advice really is to use an agile methodology, develop an analytic innovation sprint process. So for example, we've created one for Fusion Analytics ERP, where we offer 10 KPIs in 10 days to 10 users to prove the point of agility and speed, to really put this knowledge in the hands of business users. You know, getting 100% data quality at speed is unrealistic, but getting access to the right data to drive business outcomes and being connected to that data is essential to success.
So I guess don't let perfection inhibit innovation, right? Just move at an agile pace. What's the secret in getting decision makers to balance intuition with insights generated from machines? I guess getting rid of that bias.
I think it's trust. You know, as we talked about, AI can automate many of the data discovery tasks. Decision makes need to ask more challenging questions, and you kind of got to start to trust some of these algorithms. But you know, cognitive decisions, you know, using our own instincts, being supplemented by this AI, you know, we'll never be replaced by machines, but they're going to sit idle until decision makers really put them to work. So, you know, we've got to work together with them and with this AI to drive better decisions. And Fusion Analytics makes this possible. Beyond just the facts, finance and operation leaders can get benefit to dozens of embedded algorithms to find patterns in the data. So, you know, it's very much getting, you know, grasping this challenge and moving forward.
And I guess with the right data, how can those decisions become easier?
If I go back to what TK was saying about Fusion Analytics, you know, it's ready to use with over 250 KPIs, 1,500 metrics to personalize to your job roles, to your responsibilities. You know, there's no more DIY, or as the Americans would say, Home Depot here. You know, it's pre-built. It helps you get moving and guiding the business very much from day one.
Fantastic. Well, that's a great way to think about it, Duncan. Thanks for joining us today, especially sort of last minute, getting thrown under the bus. Really appreciate it.